Nothing but clay and topsoil. All right, we're gonna go. All right, at this time, we'll call to order the City of Kenai Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for July 27th, 2022. Will you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 8.2, roll call, please.
Chair Tweet.
Here.
Commissioner Askin.
Here.
Commissioner Woodard.
Here.
Vice Chair Dothett.
Here.
Commissioner Fikes, absent. Commissioner Greenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Halstead.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Item A3, agenda approval. Commissioner Halstead,
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
do I have a second?
Second it.
Second. Any objections? Seeing none, the agenda is approved. Item A4, consent agenda. Commissioner Halstead,
I move we approve the consent agenda.
and a
I'll
second. Any objections? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved. Item 3, scheduled public comment. We have none. Item 4, unscheduled public comment. Nobody in the chambers. Anybody online? Nope. All right, we'll move on then to item E, consideration of plats. E1 is resolution PZ 2022-16, a preliminary plat, subdivision plat of Kings Cove submitted by McLean Consulting, P.O. Box 468, Soldotna, on behalf of Karen Lee Gilliam, 5014 East 145th Avenue, Anchorage. Can I get a motion, please? Vice Chair Dothett.
I need a motion for Resolution PZ 2022-16, preliminary plat of King Cove submitted by McLean Consulting.
Second.
Second. All right, staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am, for those that don't know me, Max Best. I'm the interim planning director, working here until a replacement shows up, hopefully soon enough. We have a strong applicant that we're in the process of re-interviewing, so it looks good for that. So back to consideration of plats. This is the plat was submitted by James Hall of McLean Consulting. Oh, and I apologize. I don't have a PowerPoint either. I'm on a learning curve, and now it would just been another thing we have to do. So I apologize for that. I know you've come accustomed to that. So the plat, yeah, sorry, strike one. Yeah, this is a 15-acre vacant lot on North Highbush Lane, being divided into 8 lots. They vary in size between 1 and 3 acres. Access is provided via mile 5.5 of the Kenai Spur Highway and North Highbush Lane. Zoning is rural residential. If you look at the plat, there's indications of a wetland on the plat, which is classified as LB6, which equates to a forested lake bed wetland with variable water table. Development precautions should be taken to minimize effects of the variable water table, such as no basements, adequate drainage for wells, and septic designs that will work in a high water table area. The information provided by the available wetland inventory mapping that's shown on there is for guidance only, and as development actually does take place, a determination should be made to the limits of that area and the types of development that can happen in that. The applicant is requesting 2 exceptions to the minimum improvement required in the subdivision regulations. The first one is to 1410-080C, the installation of Pearson Avenue and upgrade of Highbush Lane from the unnamed court to Pearson Avenue. The second is 1410-080F, the installation of sanitary sewer. I've listed 13 findings in the resolution and tied them to the requested exception for a recommendation to the council. The council has to approve any of those that come out of this. So staff recommends approval of PZ 2022-16, thereby granting approval of the preliminary plat and requesting the council grant exceptions to the development code for portions of the road and sanitary sewer. By the way, I have corrected the resolution by deleting in section 1, by deleting the reference to Black Gold Estates 21 replat and inserting King Cove subdivision. The clerk has a corrected copy. I also added the correct attestation to the resolution. And that is the end of the staff report.
All right, thank you. All right, we have a motion. Any discussion? Commissioner Halsted.
Isn't the applicant supposed to be here for this process?
No, we added to our code, the applicants are supposed to present for conditional use permits.
Oh,
for
this is
public
just for the
hearing.
conditional use permits that is one of the,
Yeah, and that's a new conditional use permit as well, not a transfer, and this is a plat, so.
oh,
No.
all right.
Vice Chair Dothett.
So right now, the access road to this plot is not city maintained currently, correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. It is not maintained.
And then my other question is, with the request, is there already city water access to this plat or, and not sewer? Or is that, because I didn't see anything about the water exemption for staff.
Thank you. Through the chair, the water has a built-in exception in the code, but sewer does not. Why, I don't know. But if you have a 10-lot or less subdivision, you're not required to extend water to it. So I don't know if it was an oversight in drafting the code that one would go with the other, but they just went, they asked for not having to do it based on the 10-lot or less.
I guess my last question with that, due to the wetlands in this area, will they have to get approval, I'm assuming, for like the septics and that for wetlands are probably going to be a mound-type system? Is that something the city would have to approve to authorize it for use in the city limits?
Thank you. Through the chair, that is all, yes, that's correct. They will be required to submit, the borough regulations require that on-site wastewater disposal meet the DEC requirements. So they will have an engineer, doing a soils analysis and deciding what type of system and how high the water table has come up through that area. And they will either put a conventional system in that would work in that area, or they will have a design system, like you had said, a mound system of some sort. It's usually encouraged in that Lake Bed 6 area that you go with a mound, even though sometimes you can dig test pits and there have no water down to 10 feet, but there is a highly variable area that, out here on the K Beach a number of years ago, happens about every 30 years. The groundwater meets the surface water and it's just a mess. So that's the typical type situation that this particular property is. So hopefully the engineer will design something that's adequate for that area.
Commissioner Greenberg.
Was, so one of the exceptions is that they don't construct the court right-of-way or court road. Is that typically required? I can't remember.
No, I think the exception is for the upgrading Highbush from the highway to the court and actually constructing the court. From the court to Pearson Avenue, they're requesting an exception. So, yeah, that was difficult to write for me.
So they are going to build the court?
Yes,
Oh,
as
okay.
far as I know, an installation agreement to minimum city standards will be required for the court, and then an engineering analysis of the current road bed will also be required to get it into, if they want it in the maintenance.
Okay, great.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Woodard,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dothett,
Yes.
Commissioner Greenberg,
Yes?
Commissioner Halsted,
Yes?
Chair Twait,
Yes.
Commissioner Askin,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, thank you. Items F, public hearing, and G, unfinished business. We have none. Moves us to item H, new business. H1 is Resolution PZ 2022-19, application for transfer of conditional use permit PZ 12-22 for assisted living facility in a suburban residential zone from JAC Enterprises, Inc. to Aspen Creek Kenai LLC located at 701 North Forest Drive and described as Track 36A, Killen Estates, 2014 replat. Motion, please. Commissioner Askin.
I move we approve PZ 2022-19, transfer of conditional use permit PZ 12-22.
All right, second?
I'll second that.
Second, all right. Staff report.
Could we this looks like the resolution 2022-19 and 2022-20 are for the same type of thing? Are these two
Let's
completely
get
different?
staff report. Yeah, he'll handle that for us.
Well,
Oh.
if it is, could we treat both of those
We'll find out.
as
in a
one?
second. We'll find out.
Just
I'll
wait.
bet there's a reason we
Yeah,
can't.
Yeah. I'm going to give you one staff report for both of them, but you'll need individual motions for both of them. It's kind of standard procedure to each one of them have their own motion in second. So you'll get one staff report, and then we'll move into the number 20 there. In 2012, a CUP was issued for an assisted living facility to JAC Enterprises, Clint Hall, on track 37 of Killian Estates number 1. In 2015, a CUP was issued for an additional assisted living facilities to the same applicant on track 36. In November 2016, the properties were unsubdivided and put into one lot. Recent change in ownership has prompted the transfer of the conditional use permits from JAC Enterprises to Aspen Creek LLC. Aspen Creek Kenai LLC agrees to operate under the original terms and conditions of PZ 12-22 and PZ 15-24. Staff recommends commission approve the transfer request and make separate motions for each of the resolution. That's the end of the staff report.
All right, we have a motion. Any discussion? All right, well, I have just one
I have a-
question. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
No,
I have a question.
You probably got my question anyway. Go ahead.
Well, when they do a transfer, at this time, is that when we could add additional conditions to a transfer, or no? 'Cause I was curious what the current conditions were on the previous one. I couldn't remember if it was when they transferred it or not.
Yeah, I believe on this resolution, you should be able to add conditions. I can double check on that if you want.
I was just
Can
curious,
add
because I know
these.
they've had farm animals and stuff in the past, and issues with farm animals running free in the neighborhoods, and,
Just those cute little ponies.
yeah, they ran on my kids once, but, yeah, they've had, and I don't know what the conditions, if it had anything about certain type animals besides what city code requires on that or not. I'd be curious what the previous conditions were.
Okay.
You want to take a
Yeah.
quick little break? All right, we'll take a, go ahead.
I've got the files here in front of me, and there weren't any conditions dealing with farm animals in the 7 conditions that were listed for PZ 15-25. And let's see if I can find the other one here. Probably right here. 1234 had the same 7 conditions and doesn't discuss anything about farm animals on there either. And I'm not sure in that zone what is allowed as far as that size of a lot, being able to have some sort of farm animals. I mean, it's a pretty big lot.
Yeah, and that's what I was curious, if since it being a conditional use permit, if it was something we could do that they may have to apply for a permit or some kind of conditions stating that they might have an inspection done or something for the use of farm animals, because they've had multiple instances where farm animals were running free in the neighborhoods.
If I might,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
thank you. Yeah, if they're not in compliance with the current zoning and/or conditional use permit, it's not allowed. So if they have some sort of farm animal there, we will investigate and make sure that, well, the size of the lot is adequate to sustain that, and if they do need to modify their CUP, they'll have to come back in. So, and I think that's where we would take on a new conditional use permit. A modification would be at that particular time. So, and we can take a break and I can look up what's allowed.
If we could, just for a second, if we have the opportunity to possibly change or add, this is the only time we're going to get to do it, I would believe,
Well,
for
if-
modification of a conditional use permit or adding conditions, correct?
Would you have to advertise and have it be as a public hearing for conditional use, if we were going to modify it?
I believe so, yes. I think that would be the requisite. We'd have to go through the modification of a conditional use permit rather than do it here. But this is the time to know, and I should look that up, because that was a discussion that I had also with the assistant, which was, what can they do with this? And wasn't clear to me if we could modify the conditional use permit without the proper notification and advertising of that particular thing. So they would
Maybe
have
we
to
can
be-
just take a quick recess to look into this, because I could see this coming up later as we get possibly fishing businesses and other stuff that are gonna be transferring, if this is the time we should take up. Might
Okay.
not apply exactly to this, but.
All right,
maybe
we'll
good to
take
know.
a quick at ease then.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. I didn't want to get my All right, we are back on the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did a little research. I did not find anything particular to a transfer of a conditional use permit, other than they have to be in compliance with their conditional use permit. And if they're operating outside their conditional use permit, that is up to the planning department to go out and do a site investigation. And if they do have, things they're not allowed to have in their zone, that would put a stop on their conditional use permit right there, and they would need to reapply. If you want me to go out and do that site investigation, and you certainly can postpone. I'm reluctant tonight to add conditions to a transfer when the applicant hasn't had an opportunity to address that. So that's my 2 cents on it. I certainly will go out and investigate anything that has happened or is happening on site within the parameters of their current conditional use and the zone.
Vice Chair Dothett.
You said you had a list of what current conditions are on the previous conditional use.
I do, yes. And if you'd like, I can read those.
Yeah, if we could go over those real quick, just for our knowledge, that'd be great.
Okay. Okay, 1, all required landscaping and as presented in the approved landscape plan must be installed within 2 years of the approved landscape plan. 100% of the ground cover of the landscaping beds must be planted and maintained so that there are no exposed soil within 3 years of the approved plan. The parking lot must be paved within 2 years of their certificate of occupancy. And there was an issue about striping but they've conformed to the striping. They've done that now. 4, snow storage must be located on the lot and cannot be placed on required parking spaces, or the snow must be removed from the site. No snow may be stored in such a manner that would block visibility or ingress and egress of the lot. No dumpster is shown on the site plan. If a dumpster is placed on site, the location must be approved prior to placement of the dumpsters. Screening must be constructed of wood or concrete. City administration may approve other materials prior to construction, and I don't know if that was done, but I would guess the building inspector made that on his inspection, and it's checked off. Approval from the City of Kenai's Public Works Manager must be received prior to connecting to the city storm drain system. If construction of the project has not started within 1 year of the approval of the landscape site plan, the approval may be revoked by the administrative official after providing 30 days' notice unless extended for good cause. And they were issued their occupancy by the building code for both of those. And those are substantially the same conditions on both permits.
Thank you.
Commissioner Askin.
Would you like me to withdraw my motion to adopt or approve and
Well, I think we keep that.
modify
We
it?
would just then vote to postpone if we wanted to. Is there anything, do we know, that would hinder none of their day-to-day activities or business of any kind by postponing it for 2 weeks? I mean, we could transfer this, I think, and then go after anything that needs to be dealt with separately as well, probably, huh?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pending, there was some discussion upstairs about getting this transfer done and issuance of their building permit. They have a permit to modify the facility to take out some rooms and make them bigger or something. And so that's what prompted all of this, transfer, which was, modifying the facility, which still fits assisted living facility requirements that their cup is under, but it required a building permit. And through the building permit process, found out, Clint Hall doesn't own them, and there's a whole different ownership. So we were trying to square away the ownership. But yeah, certainly now's the time to go out and do an investigation too, if we need to.
Well, I don't know, would it be something if we adopted this now, we could still do the investigation and make sure it was within compliance and not hold up their permit then? My only concern is if they're working outside their scope of what their CUP would be, as far as, and I'm not sure, if you were able to find something about the zoning requirements for farm animals or anything in that particular area or not?
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, I had just started in the animal control section, and it was a bit lengthy. I think that's where that particular language is that I seem to find when we're having investigating the chicken facility out there. So yeah, it's going to take, I apologize for not knowing the code as well as I should, but I certainly can find out those particular issues, if what is allowed and if they were or weren't operating within their conditional use.
Well, I guess as long as, I'd be okay with moving forward as it is. I just think maybe we can look into it a little deeper just to make sure that they're conforming. Or maybe the new ownership is not planning on having that facility anymore too. It could be a null and void issue in the future, but might be worth doing a little extra check if we get a chance to run by there. That'd be much appreciated. But as far as that goes, then as presented, I would just be in favor of moving forward with this to move on their process, and then we can look into it further and take it up if there is a violation.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the best approach at it, so. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we will call the roll on Resolution PZ 2022-19.
Commissioner Halsted,
Yes.
Chair Twait,
Yes.
Commissioner Askin,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodard,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dothett,
Yes.
Commissioner Greenberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, item H2, Resolution PZ 2022-20 is an application for transfer of conditional use permit PZ 15-24 for assisted living facility in a suburban residential zone from JAC Enterprises, Inc. to Aspen Creek Kenai LLC located at 701 North Forest, described as Tract 36A, Killen Estates 2014 replat. Motion, please. Vice Chair Dothett.
I didn't even get my button pushed yet. Motion to approve PZ 2022-20, application for transfer conditional use permit PZ 15-24.
All right.
A second.
Second. All right. Any discussion? I have just something more of a, it's not hard to obviously transfer two of them as opposed to one, but since the property line is removed between the two parcels now, is there a way to combine those, or do they live in perpetuity forever as individual ones?
Mr. Chairman, we did have that discussion about that, and I guess this gives them some flexibility, but them being identical for the two different facilities, they could change the use of one and come in for, modification of the conditional use permit for one and not the other. Because they're kind of mirror facilities now, so we just said I would just leave them two.
Okay. Okay.
And that might come in just with the barn facility might be on one side and could
Certainly
apply
is,
to
yeah,
one and not
yeah.
the other kind of thing.
Yep. It's where the rural people will be on that side, city people on the other. All right, any other discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Commissioner Greenberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Halsted,
Yes.
Chair Twait,
Yes.
Commissioner Askin,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodard,
Yes.
Vice Chair Dothett.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Item I, pending items, we have none. J, reports. J1, City Council. Vice Mayor Glendenning.
Thank you, Chairman Twait. Let's go to the most recent one is our special meeting we had last night. We had a resolution requesting the State of Alaska Commissioner of Fish and Game allow East Side Set Net Fishery additional opportunity to harvest sockeye salmon during the 2022 season. And it was sponsored by the City Council unanimously. The short of it is the resolution was passed unanimously. We had quite a bit of discussion. It was a robust discussion, but respectful, and no one really raised their voice. It was just concern as to why they're the only user group not being able to fish. And that's the crux of the matter. And so we amended the resolution a little bit to make sure that all of the other municipal units in the borough get a copy of it, and that it be sent to our elected officials also. And with approval of the attorney, it'll be sent over to the courthouse. I imagine it'll be lodged with the clerk over there, and then they can, with their own process, decide, whether to disseminate it or not. But it is, I think, germane to the lawsuit that was filed on behalf of the beach fishermen. And that ends my report. With that, yeah, I tried to escape. Any questions on that? What we had on the 6th of July, that was our last meeting, it was our only meeting in July, is that we were to have a scheduled public comment from Peter Yvonne, Executive Director of the Kanaitse Tribe. He was unable to make it, and he will be rescheduled. On public hearings, we enacted without objection an ordinance amending the official zoning map by rezoning certain parcels southeast of Beaver Loop Road along Basin View Way, Kim and Ang Court, Cub Court, Ames Road, Dulchock Lane, from rural residential to rural residential 1. That was sponsored by the administration, and we had quite a discussion by the audience. Many points were raised, and perhaps some concerns that we can take care of in the CUP ordinance that the attorney is working on, and perhaps other individuals are concerned with, and so we will. You may see something again just to tune it up a little bit to make it a little more manageable and define roles and responsibilities a little better. We adopted without objection Resolution 2022-52 awarding a contract to supply operational chemicals for the city water treatment and wastewater treatment facilities. And we adopted without objection Resolution 2022-53 authorizing a service agreement for personal use fishery dumpsters and portable restrooms. We adopted without objection Resolution 2022-54 authorizing a service contract extension to provide refueling services for city facility fuel tanks. We adopted without objection Resolution 2022-55 amending the facility management agreement for winter services provided by Redline Sports at the City of Kenai Multipurpose Facility. And we adopted without objection Resolution 2022-56, and we approved amendments to the standard lease form for the lease of airport reserve lands between the City of Kenai, the State of Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities Division of Facility Services on Lot 4B FBO subdivision number 11, sponsored by the administration. And we approved without objection City of Kenai Police Department appointment to the Kenai Peninsula Borough's Emergency Services Communication Advisory Board. And with that, that ends my report. Any questions?
Any questions for the Vice Mayor? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to, I guess, J2, since Commissioner Fikes isn't here, we will pass on the borough planning and go to administration. Mr. Best.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a request by this commission to find out the ownership of the bowling alley. I wasn't here, but that was a note to me to go find that out. So I did go ask some questions, but I got no concrete answers from anybody. And so it still belongs to New Vision Federal Credit Union, who was the foreclosing institution that took it over. And my understanding is has transferred ownership, but that's not public record that I can find yet. So when I find out, I'll let you know. Or if they decide they're going to do something, you're probably the first to know. So that's what I have on that, which isn't much. Board of Adjustment met on 2 items. The 2 items. There is a 30-day appeal window. They met on July 8th. The first one was a daycare facility. I believe you guys had issued they upheld the conditional use permit that you had issued with some additional conditions. One, no more than 12 children are allowed to receive services. Regular hours of operation limited from 7:30 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. No more than 1 employee outside the owner's immediate family may be employed within the location, and off-street parking requirements must be met. So those were and that is online in the Board of Adjustment for your review. The full decision is there, and the other one was kind of it was a livestock permit issued by Animal Control for chickens in Woodland. And they modified that down to, they had, I don't know, 30-some chickens, and they modified it to October 1, they have to have 10, no roosters, and in 1 year, they can't have any. But if they do, they got to come back to the city and have a discussion about those. Those are Hill Corp. I issued Hill Corp permit on the Cannery Loop pad. So if you see a drill rig over there, or any activity, they have a 1-year permit to drill, rework, or drill a new well or something over there. So yeah, so that one, and they did indicate that may be on the one over here on Childs Avenue. They may also, after that one, do this one. So anyway, that's all I have. Mr. Glendenning covered the council stuff that was on your plate for action with them. And that's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, we will move on to additional public comment, and we have nobody. So no informational items. Next meeting, August 10th. Commissioners' comments and questions. Commissioner Woodard.
I'm good.
All right. Commissioner Askin.
I don't know how many of you remember that last year the city council did a resolution along the same lines as for the set netters with NOAA, with that rule that they had, limited so many drift fishing, all the drift fishing. That was recently thrown out. So I don't know if anybody knew that. Other than that, enjoy the sunshine.
Absolutely. Commissioner Halstead.
Nothing here?
Commissioner Greenberg.
Nothing.
All right. Vice Chair Dothett. So, nothing? All right. All right. I have nothing to add either, so everything complete. The meeting is adjourned. Oh,
For you, or are you gonna knock my head?
I'll use your head.
Okay. That's a gong.
That's a
These guys are ruthless.
See? This is starting to grow on you, isn't it?
Yeah.